Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and today I have a little lapse in memory there. And today we're going to be talking about the four psychological needs that we have. So let me bring up the screen here where you can see our PowerPoint. And the four psychological needs. We as human beings are creative. Well, we're just a mix of things. We're creative and complicated. We are alike, yet we're different. We're personal and impersonal, divided, we're fragmented. But Dr. William Glasser, the founder of reality therapy and choice theory, came up with five basic needs that we as human beings have. And the needs they're legitimate. We need them. It's not that we can do without any of them. The physical need is to survive. And to survive is just to keep on breathing, to have shelter and to have protection and so forth. And yesterday on the CBS Sunday morning program, there was an article in there, a segment about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and their Archwell Foundation that you and I probably know as Harry and Meghan. But anyway, they are funding for people to survive because they are aware of the fact of so many people that have harmed themselves, killed themselves, and especially youth. And they have really, really working hard on that. And their goal is to turn pain into purpose. That as a person begins to realize that they, can't contribute, that they don't belong, that they can begin to find that the purpose is there. And it was very touching. Anyway, then we're also looking at the fact through Dr. Glasser that we have four psychological needs. And that's more, it's all of us, it's our entirety of who we are as a human being. But the needs that we have is the need to love and belong, the need for some power, the need for freedom, and the need for fun. And so let's look at the need to love and belong. And these needs are very genuine. From the newborn infant to grown adults to animals, we need to be touched. We need to be nurtured, not only through food, but through being touched. We need to have some input. And then there is a psalm in the Holy Bible. The Psalms has a lot. The 51st Psalm is talking about as a deer pants for the water. And our pastor yesterday morning was brought up some new ideas of something that I had not been familiar with, was that, panting for the water and wanting to go and quench that thirst. We're all thirsty for something and for different things. But he looked at two things in particular, was that they go to the water, and the deer goes to the water not only to have the thirst quenched, but also many times it's to wade in the water so that their smell can be deteriorated so that the lion or the whatever that is trying to attack them would not be successful. And so in the need to love and belong, we need to realize that we need to, not only protect the weak and the less able, but also to protect our own selves. We have a need for friends, family, and loved ones. And we could put under that as being described as the need to belong, to be a part of, to understand where they're coming from and their different quirks and ideas and so forth. And, to have that need to love and belong, even if we have a tendency sometimes to take coworkers or neighbors or family members for granted. And some seek to belong through pets, through plants, or through something more mechanical, like taking care of their motorcycle or their boat or their car. But we have that need. We have that need to nourish, to help, to fulfill, to find, to be. And we realize that, or hopefully we realize, we may not uh, learn to be educated, that we are descended from learners who knew how to nurture and who knew how to survive. And we learn from them and we keep learning from others. Although, and then like to think of the pilgrims and the times for Thanksgiving. And whenever there was some conflict there, the people that the pilgrims had arrived on the U.S. territory, and in finding out and seeing what they were wanting to do and able to do and so forth. And there was beginning to be some turmoil from the people that lived here on this land. And finally, one of the princesses, they were ready, get out of here, just kill them to get rid of them. And the princess spoke up and said, "We will feed them." And as they began to interact with each other, they began to equate with and learn about love and belonging. We also have the need for power. Power is energy, and energy is power. Depends on how we use it. Power of itself is neither good nor bad. It's just one of those things that is. It is what it is. So Carl Jung, in several of his books that I've read, he keeps emphasizing to keep your eye on physics, because physics is always changing. There's always being elements put in, and there's always being more elements put in. Maybe sometimes they explode, or sometimes they are definitely helpful, but that's all a part of power. And so keep your eye on physics and what's happening. So power with versus power over. We want to work together with others so that it can be good for the whole, rather than powering over someone else as it's my way or my way. And in the United States, this is just a question to think about. Is power, the use of power here and whatever, whether it's in the mechanics or the dictates, is the power used more for good, or is it used for evil, or used for things not being so good? And then here's a quote from Dr. Glasser. He said, "As a genetic need, power has no morality, but it depends on how it's used. Again, whether it is for good or for evil." And then, sometimes we think, well, we have power that we can do, we have some power that we cannot do. So always be aware when and if you stop being able to make a choice. That's whenever maybe our power of not doing or our power of doing or wanting to do can become at a cause for stopping and realizing that turning our pain into purpose. And so we also have a need for freedom, freedom. And what all does that mean? That we can move around, that, we could come inside, go outside, we could move around, we could go to another city, another state, another country, another world. And that would, of course, include a lot of other things, but to have that freedom of movement, to have the freedom of choice, to have the freedom of how we live our own lives, the decisions that we make, but always to the freedom to love and to be loved, the freedom to belong, the freedom to be a part of work, of a community, of a family, of home, the freedom to make up our own mind, not being dictated to. And always, always, always the freedom to evaluate, to look and to see how what I've been seeing or doing all the time has, we need the freedom to evaluate, to see if it's time for improvement. And so in looking at loving and belonging and power, and going back through the choice theory book, that here's a quote from Dr. Glasser. "Therefore, almost everything said about power could also be reworded into the vocabulary of freedom. For example, we may not be inherently competitive, but we want the freedom of where and when to compete, or the if or the no. As much as a child may love her parents, she also wants to branch out on her own. So that love and belonging and the power there, it's using them judiciously. It's using them that is for the good of the whole. So, continuing with the quote, so you can see that freedom can be in conflict not only with power, but also with belonging. For example, if you want me around too much, I claim that you stifle me. But if you aren't consistently giving me attention, I may claim you don't love me. So all of these needs, we do have the needs, and it's okay to have them, and it's okay to have them fulfilled, but in a way that is in the good for the whole, and to continually self-evaluate and understand that. And we also have a need for fun. And we have a tendency to associate fun with play, entertainment, and laughter. I mean, we may not be going for it initially, but if something kind of strikes the funny bone, it's encouraging to have some fun. It's the intangible joy that people randomly share with one another. It can be spontaneous or it can be planned. You can think about it, or you can just look at to see what's fun. Fun is a thing inside of us that spurs us to keep striving, to keep driving, to keep learning, to try again. Maybe a little frustrating, but there's more fun than there is frustration. And then fun sometimes can be hard to define as to, what for one person, a jigsaw puzzle could be definitely not fun. It could be boring. Whereas to another, a jigsaw puzzle is just really the way to have a lot of fun and to enjoy. And then also, as we do have fun, it helps us to release ineffective power, stress, and frustration. And so here, as we wind up on looking at our basic needs, this is a thought from Meg Blackburn Lucy, and the signs and the symptoms of inner peace, so that we can, not only have the fun, but the peace also. Be on the lookout for symptoms of inner peace. Hearts of a great many have already been exposed, and it is possible that people everywhere could come down with inner peace in epidemic proportions. This could pose a serious threat to what has, up to now, been a fairly stable condition in a world of conflict. So, an unmistakable ability to enjoy each moment. How we meet these four needs we've been talking about is to have an unmistakable ability to enjoy each moment. To lose the interest in judging ourselves or others. It's a loss of interest in interpreting the actions of others. Think we know what they're thinking about or doing. It is a loss of interest in conflict, realizing that how can we look at the good instead of the negative? It's a loss of the ability to worry. And Meg suggests that this is a very serious symptom. When we are worrying, we've lost inner peace. The overwhelming episode of appreciation. And anytime we appreciate anything, anytime we appreciate something, it goes up in value. And then to be contented, feelings of connectedness with others and with nature. The frequent attacks of smiling or having fun or being free or enjoying. A tendency to think and act spontaneously rather than looking at fear-based and past experiences. So, think you can do it? Well, I think you can. So thanks for being here, and many blessings to all.